Hey guys, welcome back to MusiciansUnite.com. My name is Jamie Lewis. I'm a bass player and producer here in Los Angeles, and I'm appearing again as a guest from LABassLicks.com. This is my second video for Musicians Unite. I did one last week on how to make a living in the music industry, and today I'm going to talk about some of the characteristics of successful musicians. But again, before I get into that, if you haven't done this yet, go to MusiciansUnite.com right now. Create a profile, because if you do this before April 30th, you get entered into a drawing to win a $500 gift card to Musician's Friend. $500, okay? So go do that right now. Press pause. I'll be here when you get back, I promise. So like I said, we're talking about characteristics of successful musicians. And this is all stuff that I'm basing this off of a lot of different things. Other pros that I've talked to, that's like, hey, what are some things you've noticed about other legendary players or professional musicians? What have you noticed about them? The guys that are getting all the work. I've gone to music contractors. What do you look for when you're hiring someone to play for you? Or what are some qualities that I look for when I'm hiring someone? Who do I go after? Who am I gravitating towards and why? So I'm basing this off of a lot of different criteria. So I'll just kind of jump right into it, okay? Number one, the thing that I notice that most people, most successful musicians have, okay, is a willingness and an ability to adapt. And this kind of goes a step beyond being versatile, okay, because versatility is important, being able to play, be comfortable in a lot of different genres of music, understanding different instruments, being able to read music. I mean, these are all great techniques and tools, and yeah, have all that stuff, but being able to switch it on and off, okay, being able to adapt to the scenario is really important, okay? So let's say like I'm a bass player, so I'm a fingerstyle player, but sometimes they ask me to use a pick. Okay, that's not a problem. They want me to use a 5-string. Okay, great. 4-string. Sure, why not? They want me to play synth bass. Okay, I'm really easy. I will adapt to whatever they want. I'm not like, no, this is how I play and this is all I'm gonna do, because that guy won't get as much work. You know what I mean? Guitar players, some of them are rockers, but this song's a little more country, so I need you to clean up your tone a little bit and play a little less like AC/DC type stuff and, do something a little more country-esque. If you are able to turn that switch off, right, and be able to fit in all those different scenarios, you're going to get more work. And this is just kind of obvious. If you can do a bunch of different jobs and you're willing to do them, then you're going to get more calls. So it's almost self-explanatory, but the most important part about being able to adapt is being able to turn it on and off, okay? And I'll give you a great example of this. Let's say I'm playing with a rock group and nobody knows how to read music. Nobody has any knowledge of music theory. I mean, they're great players, but they don't, they just do what they do and that's it. I'm not going to come in asking them, hey, you want me to play the third of the chord and, we'll push to beat, 4 and modulate. I mean, I'm not going to mention any of that stuff because they don't understand that language. And to be honest, it's going to come off to them as if I'm talking down to them, as if I'm being like, hey, look at how much I know. You know what I'm saying? So I will turn off that part of my brain when I'm playing with these guys, and I'll just try to think in the realm that they're used to thinking. I need to adapt to that situation, okay? Now, here's really important. Don't take it personally. When you're playing in a session, I'll do this all the time. I'm in here and I push the button, I lean over and I go, hey man, that was great, but let's try a different fill for the intro. That doesn't mean I don't like you. That doesn't mean I hate you. It just means the one that you did isn't the one I want. I'm hearing something different. I want to try to get it out of you. You know what I mean? So like, don't take these as personal attacks when I ask you to adapt, or when the person that's hiring you is pointing these things out. They're literally just trying to get what they want, and that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like if I had a hole in my roof, right? And someone comes over and he says, I'm going to go fix your sink instead. It's like, well, cool. But I need my roof fixed, and that's what I asked you here for. Can we fix the roof? So don't be stubborn, adapt. It's really, really important, okay? The next one, number 2, is scheduling. You have to be able to schedule and you have to be able to manage your time. Because as a musician, we have a lot of different employers. I have like 30 of them. Okay, on Friday I'm at this place. On Saturday I got these gigs. On Sunday I got to be here. I envy the person who goes to the office at 8 in the morning and they take lunch at noon and they come home at 5. And they do that Monday through Friday. And then they have the weekend off. Like, that's awesome, but that's not a musician. A musician has, a session booked on this day and, all these gigs. And then sometimes he has no work booked. You got to be good at keeping a schedule and managing your time. I can't tell you how many times this actually happened to me last weekend. I almost drove to the wrong gig. I got halfway there and realized I'm supposed to be on the other side of town right now. I was going to tomorrow's gig today. It was embarrassing. I was like 30 minutes late, but that's just kind of, you got to write things down, get it, you got to get on your iCal, your smartphone, your iPad, however it is that you do it. You need to be really good at managing time, booking time, and keeping track of it all, because you're juggling like 10 different jobs as a musician, especially when you work in students and all that stuff. Oh man, don't even get me started. So scheduling and time management. Okay. The third thing is that there's a difference between listening and hearing. And the successful players, they get it. They understand that difference. Let me give you an example, okay? Think back to grade school, right? You're sitting there like leaning on the desk and the teacher's talking, right? And you're just like staring. I mean, you're hearing it. Obviously, you're hearing words and you're staring at them, but your brain's kind of going somewhere else. And they go, Jamie, what was I just saying? And you're like, I have no idea. Like it went in one ear and out the other. That's hearing. Listening is when I soak it all in and I know exactly what you're saying and I can reiterate it for you, right? That's listening. As a musician, you need to listen. Oh my gosh, you need to listen, okay? Chuck Rainey told me this once. He said, the good Lord gave you 2 ears. One of them's for you, the other one's for the rest of the band. Okay, you are splitting your attention always. I'm up there playing on stage, but I know exactly what the drummer's playing, what his kick pattern is. I know where the guitar player is on his neck. I know what voicing the keyboard player is doing. I know where the singers are at, which ones are background, who's singing lead. You got to know all this stuff, because the only way that you're going to know what to play is if you know what everyone else is playing. You know what I mean? And especially this comes in play when you're in the studio and you're trying to come up with parts. Well, what's already there? Let's start with that. So a good way to tell if you're listening is just ask yourself, can I hear the blank? Fill in the blank. Can I hear the guitar? Can I hear the voicings on the keyboard? Can I hear what guitar player 1 is doing versus what guitar player 2 is doing? What's the kick pattern? Where's the snare drum? Is it on beat 2 and 4 or is it somewhere in between? If you can't answer any of those questions, you're not paying enough attention. Okay. It could be that you're focusing on yourself too much. It could be that you're too loud. It could be that you're overplaying. I'll tell you this. One time I was playing with a band, and in between sets, I talked to the piano player and the guitar player, and I said, hey, during that bridge, you're both doing like the same arpeggios. I think one of you should play like whole notes and the other one should do the arpeggios. And they both looked at each other and went, oh man, I didn't know you were doing that too. It's like, you just gave it away. You were not listening to each other, obviously, because you didn't even realize you were both walking all over each other's parts, So listen, actively listen. While you're playing, you are actively listening to what's going on around you, okay? And this is important when you're getting monitor mixes and all that kind of stuff. Don't just put in there what you think you need. Put everything in there. Make sure you can hear all of it, okay? Super important. The next thing, check your ego at the door. This is so important that it almost goes without saying, but it needs to be said, okay? Check your ego at the door. Everything that you think you know, everything that you know about yourself, everything you think you deserve, or whatever it is. We've all been doing this for a while, so we think we know something. Leave all that at the door. It doesn't belong on stage. It doesn't belong in the studio. It doesn't belong in the classroom. It doesn't belong on the road. It's yours. Keep it, okay? Don't bring that into the situation, okay? The only thing I'm concerned with when I'm working on a song or when I'm working with a band and when I'm tracking something, the only thing I'm concerned with is how can we make this sound good? I don't care about you and what you've got going on and what you've done. Let's focus on the music. And we can talk about that stuff later, but let's get the music done at any cost, okay? So, and this is just, it's all about attitude, okay? And if that's your attitude, if you're focused on, man, let's just work and let's do the best thing we can, even if it means I have to sacrifice playing that cool part I wrote, fine, it's great. Check your ego at the door. And this is the same thing. It kind of goes along with attitude, is kind of the energy that you bring. Don't be a negative person. My mama taught me that you don't say anything if you don't have anything nice to say. And I can't tell you how many people I refuse to work with because they're mean guys, or they're always smack talking someone else who's not there, or whatever it is. It's just, if that's you, I don't want to work with you. You could be the greatest player in the world. I ain't going to call you if I think you're a jerk. You know what I mean? So your ego, your attitude, it has to be in the right place, you know? This next one is super important. Number 5, always play what's best for the song. Okay, it might be a super cool part that you wrote and it's super awesome, but you know what? It ain't doing the job. Okay, cut it out. You know, like don't worry about the things that you think sound cool. Worry about the things that make the song sound best. Okay, and those are the guys who always play the right thing for the song are the ones who are getting all the work. Now, as a bass player, I don't know what you play, but as a bass player, I'm quite often playing like the same like redundant eighth note thing, bum 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 bum. You know, and it's not because I can't play anything else, but if I did, the song wouldn't sound good. If I did play a line, it would conflict with the melody. The drums are laying down such a solid that if I played anything else, it would stray too far away from what they've got going on. You know what I mean? And again, this totally depends on the song and on the artist and on the feel, the vibe. I mean, there's a lot of things at play, but the most important thing before you strike a single note is, again, it kind of comes back to listening. You listen to what's going on and it's like, hey, what needs to be here? Is it whole notes? Is it just that straight eighth note? Is it nothing? Seriously, sometimes the best thing I can do is play nothing at all. I did a session not too long ago where I played nothing on all the verses. I only played on the choruses and the bridge. And the guy called me, he's like, man, that was great. I almost feel like I shouldn't pay you though, because you didn't play on half of the song. It's like, I know, but it sounded good, didn't it? That's what's important. The song sounded good. Awesome, we're done. The last thing that all the successful people do, okay? And I am guilty of this. You need to remember that you love doing this. You actually like this. It's not a job that you're forced to go to, that you're putting in time. And it's like, oh man, I can't wait to get home. If that's you, man, you need to get out of this industry. You need to go look for something that does satisfy you, something that you look forward to doing. Because man, this can be, I mean, if you've ever mixed a record before or sat in on a session, like by the 9 millionth time you've heard this song, you don't want to listen to it anymore. If you've been in a touring band, like the 50th city that you're in, you don't want to. You've been playing the same songs every night and it all looks the same and it all sounds the same. Like, it can get grueling, man. You need to remember that you love this, you dig this, you would rather do nothing else, because it's easy to get caught up in the stress and overwhelmed with everything else. So remember, you like doing this. This is awesome. And again, if that's not you, no problem. Be a hobbyist, be a weekend warrior. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you love doing this, come on in, because we want to play with you. We want to work with you. So anyways, chew on those 6 things for a little bit and go ahead, leave me some comments here on this page. Send your emails. It was awesome getting to meet with you guys last week when I talked about making a living in the music industry. And I loved all the comments and all the emails that we got. So keep them coming. Remember to go sign up for a profile at musiciansunite.com. Get that $500 Musicians Friend entry. And we'll see you next week, okay? Take care.